This video is about three great things to know about how our thoughts can either help us or hinder us. I'm Vic Gilges, and I'm a writer and teacher on things to do with happiness and well-being. And I'm going to start off by explaining how thoughts can affect us by referring to a story about Toyah, the singer and performer. And just about 2 weeks ago now, so this is on May, the 16th of May, there's a show called Jools Holland's Guest. Jools Holland, as we know, Hootenanny, what have you, New Year's time, multi-talented musician and performer. And he was interviewing Toyah, and Toyah was being asked about what particular music she liked, and at times Toyah was talking about how her life situation, especially when she was younger and at school, had affected how she performed and created her music. And one of the things that Toyah said was that she was nobody's fool, that she was very creative. So she, at the time, would not be put down, would not particularly like the school lessons because it didn't fit in with her creative approach to life. Now, when I consider myself at a similar age, I was not rebelling against the system in that way that, say, Toyah was. I just wanted to fit in and to get better at doing what I was told to do. And I suppose that's not very flattering because I didn't see through the system. I wanted to be with the system for whatever it was. And in many aspects, the educational system was very good. And in trying to fit in and be better, I think that helped me. But I'm explaining this or talking about this to put across the fact that we all react differently to our life situations. And this is based on our conditioning, our upbringing, and what we know at the time. And so I think, in referring back to the Toyah story, where Jools Holland was interviewing Toyah, what she was showing to us was that her way of thinking was entirely different to the way in which she was being asked to think. But at the time, she had a knowing that she was creative, she wasn't stupid, and that she could do things differently to the way that people were telling her to do. So she was, I suppose, compared to me, very much a free thinker. And I think it took me many years to get to the situation of having that mindset to realise that myself, I was creative, that I was nobody's fool. And that was because at the time, and we're going, I mean, I'm much older than Toyah, obviously, that our mindsets in those days was to fit in. And if any of us had, we would never have thought of even dyeing our hair or freaking out, because that was what nobody did. So there were no role models. The only role models that we had were the teachers and the parents of the day. And the parents of the day just got out of a war, and so the teachers. So everything was a bit dull and grey. And we just had to get on with it. But I come back to trying to make the point here that we all have thoughts, and we all think differently about the situation that we are in. And the way in which we think and the way in which we react to our situations can either make us or break us. So throughout this short video, I'm going to show you 3 ways in which we can understand our thoughts or get to realize more about what thought can do. And these 3 things are: 1, that we can know that our thoughts can make us or break us. And the second one is that we can slow down the pace of our thoughts so that we don't have a lot of frenzy going around in our head all the time. And the third thing being that we can get to a place of before thought where there is just pure love and wisdom there, and that can guide us. So let's carry on with the first part of this, where I want to read a story of mine about how to slow down our thought through the use of, well, there are many ways in which we can do this, but one of the ways in which we can do this is through the use of meditation. This is my take, my story on what meditation can be like, which I'm going to read now. When I listen to a guided meditation, to start with, it is like swimming or sailing away from the shore and struggling in the rough waters. I'm buffeted about. There is a lot of noise and splash. It's very striking, but the meditation is taking me away from that by getting me to look at the skyline, the cliffs, the seagulls, the sky. I feel more calmed. The meditator's voice goes into the background. Now I am in the deeper waters, being held by it. I comfortably sway. It feels deep. I am very still now. I'm resting. My thoughts stop. I'm just there with everything, and time stopped. I'm held and content. I'm really myself. I really get it, that everything is okay. I'm brought back by the meditator, back to the shore as it were. All that is replaced by the daily bustle. My senses feel a bit invaded again, but I see this room, that person, or this current situation, and feel differently about it all. I feel more understanding and more comfortable, as it were, about what things and people represent and are about. This does fade, but nowadays stays with me for longer. I ask myself, what else could be there that is like this? I think after the noise and disturbance of the Big Bang, there was a silence that held within it a knowing, and that was the Lord, looking at what he had created, being content and at one with everything. Thank you. Thank you for listening to that. So I hope that illustrated to you just how quiet we can go to our thoughts or with our thoughts through the process of meditation. In fact, by going to a state of meditation where the mind just quietens. And prior to that, I talked about thinking thoughts that are helpful towards us rather than thoughts that are hurtful. So as well as thinking thoughts that are beneficial to our well-being, we can go quiet to our thoughts through meditation, as I've just explained in that story. But there is a place further than that we can go, an ultimate place really, a place before thought. And I can point you to this place in terms of saying that it is where our presence is, meaning our observer. the one that is always there with us, looking at our thoughts, witnessing everything. It is there. It is detached. It is separate in terms of it not being in the world of form, but inside us. Not the outside, but the inside. And that is where the knowing is. That is when we, in effect, talk to ourselves. We get a knowing because of this presence that is always there. And that place is inside us. It is where we are quiet, peaceful, and a knowing of what to do because of this wise, quiet state that we become. And that is where the real power lies. So, as I've explained in this video at the beginning, that we can look to our thoughts, because our thoughts can upset us or they can please us. And then I've just explained through the story of what a meditative state can be like, where our thoughts are quietened. So now this deeper state, this ultimate state of our presence, our oneness that is before thought. And this is where the creativity lies. And in the next story that I'm going to read to you, I'm going to try and point to this place or explain what this place is like. I'm going to try and put across what it's like to go to a place, or our place, all of us, the place that we have, which is there before thought, a place of calm, a place of wisdom, a place of knowing. So this story is called Divine Coffee. For all sorts of reasons, Alfred started feeling down, and that was not how he usually was. He knew life was great, but it now felt just the opposite. Years ago, he had been in a situation similar to this, and at the back of his mind, he knew there was something he had done which had put things right. What was it, he thought? Then it came to him. Everything was sorted out as if by magic when he had visited a little coffee shop on the edge of town. And so this was his priority, to get back there and see if somehow it could be fixed again. Using local transport made travelling there easy. So there he was at the same small parade of shops, one of which had to be the coffee shop he had visited long ago. Was it called Heavenly Coffee or something like that, he thought. Then he spotted it and remembered it was called Divine Coffee. Since nowadays shops change hands so frequently, he felt elated it was still there. But a far greater elation rose in him as he remembered feeling like this when he previously had got near the place. Alfred couldn't wait to get in, and when he did, he ordered a skinny latte. The barista politely mentioned they only sold one type of coffee, essentially black with some milk. That would be great, said Alfred, and so he was presented with a large cup of piping hot, wonderfully glowing black liquid they called Divine Coffee. Before taking a sip, he revelled in its aroma, and even then he knew he was back home. From the first wonderful mouthful, he became grounded again in the reality he had somehow lost. The reality he knew was impossible to put into words and even feelings. It was as if the aliveness of spirit was in him or him in it. Clarity of mind and knowing what to do were back in place. Secureness and healing surged through him. As Alfred finished his coffee, he thanked the barista for it. The barista said he was welcome and that he should only need to come here again if he failed to remember what he had just received. Alfred walked outside and looked at his surroundings as if anew. The love he felt for being alive and other people was overwhelming. Again, he was grateful for what seemed a never-ending opportunity to get back in touch with what he really possessed and had always possessed. He vowed not to forget this, but like us all, he probably will. The lessons from this story, well, things turn pear-shaped because we forget what we are. We need to remember we have all we need, we have infinite potential, we have godlike abilities, and we can get ourselves sorted. This is because we have the divine gift of being alive, being in the present moment, and therefore being at the forefront of the universe's knowingness of everything. And this enables us to call upon our creative imagination to envisage how to best carry on with our life with a lightness of spirit. Right, so I hope that story of man has helped go somewhere towards explaining how or what that place before thought is like. It's a bit like coming home, and the only way I can describe it in a practical way is to say sometimes when I get fed up of the world and I have a duvet day and I manage to be able to go quiet to my thoughts and settle myself down. Other times when I simply sit down and have a talk with myself and put myself right. And once I have a talk, I don't speak. It's just that I just go within myself and find myself and then can calm down. It is a place before thought. It's just a being settled. And I hope that through what I've said and through these stories, you're able to better understand what thought can do. That thought can, as I've said, do wonderful things and be wonderful towards us, but it can also cripple us. It can get us down. It can be devastating. But also because it relies upon our imagination, which is infinite and comes from a place of before thought, we can utilize this gift we have of thought to give ourselves a wonderful life, because life is wonderful. It is only that sometimes through our thoughts that we think it is otherwise. So again, in this talk, in this video, I hope that I've shown you what thoughts can do in a positive and negative way, and also to show you that it is helpful often to go quiet to our thoughts, and that one of the ways in which we can go quiet is through the process of meditation. And the third thing that I mentioned was going to the home of thoughts, to our presence, to a place before thought. And that is the place I hope that I pointed to, that is safe, a knowing place, a wise place, a place where confidence is not in question, because wisdom is there, how to be in the world is there, because our presence is basically holding our hand. So I hope that you got something from this video, and I hope to see you soon. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much.